basket.
Okay.
Welcome to the dark episode.
The dark, the forgotten. Yeah, Sean has to do something on Wednesday, so we can't do one live, so we're doing it on Sunday. So just in case I was thinking about this in the car, just in case we have a global extinction event that we survive somehow, we're not reporting on it because we're not
A global extinction event?
Yes.
Well, we're getting pretty close with these town halls.
Well,
That is
which is pretty much what we want to talk about in the entirety of this podcast. Is this
what was it hosted on CNN?
CNN.
Of course it was, yeah.
LGBTQ plus.
See, like
What is the official acronym now?
LGBTQ plus. But
What is the plus?
the plus is everything else under the sun.
It's
Mobility Mary.
Oh my God, Mobility
That's
Mary.
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Mobility Mary, but not on this episode.
Yeah, we'll put her off for a new one.
I feel like disability is going to get lumped into our acronym at some point, even though it's completely unrelated.
Right. As it should be. It deserves its own
that's kind
attention.
That actually, I mean, have I said that on the podcast? That my hierarchy thing, like how I think the suppression Olympics thing.
I think you have.
Because trans is at the top, right? Like that's the one that kind of gets the most sort of thing. But like the visible birth, like born with a visible disability, should be
it's the apex of like your life is completely different and things aren't even built for you. Ramps aren't everywhere.
Exactly.
And like even like sight visibility and like things like that, like it's such a different experience of life than any of us will ever have. I mean, even if we are LGBTQ plus.
And that is so much of like kind of what this whole why this whole thing was such a clown show to me, is that again, like all it really I could never with sincerity in my whole life, even so I've been out of the closet for 15 years at this point. And never in my life did I ever feel like, oh, poor me. I never ever felt that ever.
Right.
Because again, I think it's because I traveled the world. I saw some like poor places. Yeah. Also have like seen and have been friends with like horribly disabled people who like have never been able to walk in their whole lives. Went to school with a kid with spina bifida, like where he was like in a walker in preschool, and it's just kind of one of those things of like, you know, this is not that big of a fucking deal. Like my life is pretty excellent, regardless of the fact that some people might be mean to me sometimes.
Well, the thing is, like you mentioned that you traveled abroad. Some people don't. Some people aren't granted that privilege. Like I was lucky enough to be able to spend a year in another country, and in my developmental years. So I did get sort of the same experience, but what would you say could be substituted in for that for people who don't have the same privilege of being able to see the world?
Nothing, because I think you could take, so basically every person we see ask questions in these clips that we're going to play of this town hall are people that could travel and wouldn't notice poverty. They'd be like, ew, this is fucking gross. It's just like there's a level of, again, it's the kind of thing of, it's what I've been talking about with this non-binary stuff and everything else, is this level of narcissism that is completely unmatched. It is like my identity is so important that you need to change everything about the way the world works so I don't get my feelings hurt. And it's really just not how the world works. And again, it's like you can look at look at China right now. China's a big thing that's in the news. China still has concentration camps. They still have Hong Kong people are, in recent history, the Great Leap Forward happened where roughly 50 million people were killed in a 4-year period. So it's like people just don't understand. And again, I think it's there's two types of people. There's people that are too stupid to understand or really care about anything external or be grateful for the privileges they have. And the other part of it is people who know that they have these privileges but are bored because they don't have anything to fight for. And that's the kind of thing of why I've been having this conversation with a lot of friends that think like we do. And I'm just like, come join us, because this is the side now that's the counterculture. Like you can join us in this counterculture. This is the new gay counterculture, is just going, this town hall, fuck all this shit. Fuck it.
Welcome to the Black Pill Podcast, everybody.
Well, no,
the Great Leap Forward. The people are dumb.
No. Look, I'm dumb too. Like it's like I'm, and we all have our fucking blind spots, and I'm a fucking moron too in so many ways. But it's a thing of like, it's, I don't know. I think that really what this thing highlights is two things. Number one, how insincere politicians and newscasters are, and how narcissistic gay activists are, or queer activists. I mean, because this is like the all-encompassing thing. And the other part of this that really pisses me off, and it's one element of the thing that happens in general, is kind of during my formative years coming up, there was still some fights to be had or whatever for gay rights and things like that. I mean, gay marriage was the big one, but a lot of it was dispelling irrational fears that people had about us.
Yeah.
And then now there are people coming in, activists that are creating legitimate fears.
They're instilling new fears
that are legitimate,
like
having a kid that's 9 years old and saying they're trans.
Yeah.
So, and again, so that's somebody that we'll highlight here in a moment, and I'll get to my point to that when we actually play it. But we'll just jump into the first one. Dude. The first one's a little bit lighter. This is this is Joe Biden.
Mr. Biden.
Mr. Biden having his amazing moment here. So
this was a good one.
Yeah. So here we go on Mr. Biden here.
We talked about this in San Francisco. It's all about, gay bathhouses and everything. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all, come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's all round the clock bathhouse.
We're just having sex in gay bathhouses all the time.
Let Uncle Joe give you a hug. Come on, man. I wanted to join in. I mean, sometimes I kind of feel like I don't know.
What does Joe know about LGBT things at all? I don't trust him at all with this issue.
Well, and again, that's sort of the running trend is like, so any candidate who's on this stage is under the age of 40. I mean, over the age of 40.
Yeah.
Voted for something nefarious. So it's
and they all want to hide it.
So Joe Biden's big thing was don't ask, don't tell, which is an issue that I don't really care all that much about. I do care in the sense of like, look, if you're gay and you really want to serve in the military, like you should be allowed to. And again,
you don't care about it because the militaristic aspect of it overrides the gay aspect of it. It's like,
sure,
who wants to be in the fucking military?
That's what it is for me. I mean, it's a big part of it, and I know it's kind of like insensitive to say to people who, whatever. But
we thank you for your service.
Yes, no, I mean that's like a given. Like I am very grateful for that, and I know like a lot of the things, and being able to, we couldn't. It's so funny, like this kind of like the anti-fascist thing. But they have a podcast talking about being anti-fascist, or they protest in black masks and don't get arrested.
I think it's called Chapo Trap House.
Chapo Trap House. Yeah,
just kidding. I've never actually listened to it.
They're kind of. I'm sure a lot of. That's probably regularly consumed. It's kind of. I think I wouldn't even blame the content of the podcast. I mean, it's not a podcast for me, but I think it's that where the fandom sort of becomes something outside of what it is, kind of like what happened to Sam Hyde and all these kinds of things, and Gavin McInnes too.
Again, I'm making a stupid joke. Never listened to them.
You wouldn't like it. I mean, I think Cum Town's more our flavor.
Yes. Just like the vape juice that
just like my cum flavored vape.
Your
juice.
ideation, yeah.
But yeah, so like don't ask, don't tell was that one, and so I remember him being on TV and saying that it would not be repealed and blah 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 blah. And again, it was just another one of those things where you could give the people who really do hate us that irrational fear of that dumb fucking line of like, well, gay soldiers, in locker rooms are gonna, or like, but I always loved our argument, which was like, if I had a fucking crush on somebody, I'm going to save the fuck out of that person.
Yeah.
Like, that person, like, if their legs are blown off, they're getting carried the fuck out of, you actually want our lust, because we will work a little bit harder for our, which is, again, not even really rooted in any kind of truth. I think when you're in I think that warfare situation, everybody becomes family in a way.
Yeah, they all have butt sex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, butt sex. And bathhouses. Come on, man.
Well, the question he's answering is, what would you do to help ease racial disparities in health, including higher HIV rates in Black America? Gay bathhouses,
Let's hear what his response was again, one more time.
Yeah, so good, dude.
Let's see, what did you say, Joe?
Talked about this in San Francisco. It's all about, gay bathhouses and everything. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all, come on, man.
You're talking to Anderson Cooper, the expert on gay bathhouses in San Francisco.
I think it's so funny because his brain is so melted, and I think it's one of those things where he's going. I think what he's going for is, I think he's probably talking about a stereotype, but he just can't. He can never connect it back. It's everything's just word salad.
It's the same with the playing the radio or playing the record player at night at that last debate.
Yeah, the phonograph is like it's
turn on the phonograph.
Wax cylinders.
Yeah, like he just never never loops it back because I don't think he doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah.
He loses where he's going, and it makes me feel a little bit sad because he's not an expert on this, and also his brain isn't
I think that I
keeping up.
think I'm at that point where I can kind of say with certainty that he's not going to get the nomination. So now it's just sort of
looking like Lizzie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is
Lizzie McGuire.
I don't know what's worse because I mean like Trump's gonna beat whoever it is, and so it's kind of like I feel like it would be better if it was him. I would feel less. But she's got some shining moments in here. So I figured Uncle Joe would be a good palate cleanser to start this off.
I imagine Elizabeth Warren having her own Lizzie McGuire-esque show where she's like a little caricature of herself and she runs across the screen. She's like, "Oh, what a day!" And then she like and it plays like a cartoon sound. It's like. And she skedaddles across the screen, and it cuts to a new scene where she's in her bedroom writing in her pink fuzzy notebook.
Was that the edits that they had in that show?
I think so.
I don't remember. I was never a Disney Channel
Did I imagine that?
You would probably know better than I would. I didn't have cable. We were poor.
Oh.
I did later.
Oh,
but,
poor you.
No, but when I did have cable, we had Cartoon Network. So that's what I ended up watching was that.
Cartoon Network was my jam.
Yeah,
dude.
Yep.
Everything on there.
Dexter's
Foster's Home for
Laboratory.
Imaginary Friends, Dexter's Laboratory, Pokemon was played on Cartoon Network. I
Was
think.
it?
Yeah.
It might have been later on.
Yeah.
Maybe was it like during the Toonami thing?
Maybe. I don't actually know. Samurai Jack. Ooh.
Oh, that was a great show.
Yeah, I know. I really want to actually rewatch it. They did a reboot of it.
That's what I heard. Yeah. So we should probably keep this going. So this is actually something. This is actually something that we talked about when we first started dating, which was when California decided to make knowingly transmitting HIV to somebody a misdemeanor instead of a felony, which we both thought was fucking.
I think we talked about it on the podcast in an early episode.
Did we really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, not like why. I just don't. I don't know. What the only argument they have, which is so flimsy, is that it would make people not get tested. But I'm like, because then if they do have it, but again, it's still
it doesn't make any sense
you're
to
still,
make it
that's still
misdemeanor.
sociopathic behavior. It's just it doesn't. And again, what was like one of the first things that we did before we had unprotected sex? We went and got tested. It's like,
and then immediately after we raw dogged it.
Exactly.
So like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you go get a free HIV test?
So here's Beto O'Rourke, and I think Pete Buttigieg had a similar answer, but we'll play Beto's here.
System audio.
Oops. Thank you, love.
Yeah, of course.
I wish it just stayed on, but it doesn't.
Example, in Texas
Silly.
and South Dakota, a person can face up to 15 years in prison for not disclosing their status, even if it's undetectable, which means that they cannot spread it, right? Which means they cannot give it to their partner.
That is really irresponsible to say that.
Yeah.
But okay, anyway.
Can't transmit it. Should these laws be overturned?
I think they should. I think the goal has to be equal treatment, which we've been talking about here today, non-discrimination in America, and it also has to be on the public health needs of our fellow Americans. So instead of being focused on penalizing or punishing or incarcerating people with HIV, what if we focused on stopping the spread of HIV in the manner that I just described, by making sure that PrEP is available, affordable, accessible to every American who needs to use it, with more than 1.3 million at risk today and only 10% able to avail themselves of that life-saving drug right now.
So I was talking to somebody about this, and
About 50% of that, I'm on board.
The
with.
PrEP after he started talking about, but again, they're not talking about the thing of this is somebody who knows they have it and would tell somebody, oh no, like or would say they don't, like this is somebody who would. The person they would not wear a condom. The person would be like, "Don't you want to put on a condom?" Oh no, I don't have AIDS. And then like they would just. That's a really particular type of person.
That's how you get HIV.
Right, and so HIV. Excuse me. So it's one of those things of like that is sociopathic behavior that should be punished. I mean,
it's not discrimination. It's because they're involving a second person and infecting them that it starts to affect somebody else's life. It's a crime in that sense. It's not a crime because we're discriminating against people with HIV.
Right.
It doesn't. If you. Fuck, I can't think of another like an analogy of it. Like if
I mean, you're fundamentally changing someone's life. I mean, that's really what it. I mean, it would be like I don't know, like just blowing like cutting their finger off. I mean, essentially. So I don't know. I again, it's like that kind of thing of how this like what we see as oppression is getting lumped into things that aren't, and so like that's And so
in like a world obsessed with consent too, you would think that this is one of the additional things, like consenting to full consent, like signing off on everything. Like, you have HIV, that's okay. You're on PrEP, that's okay. Don't wear a condom, that's okay.
Right.
Like, the full consent culture that we live in, you would think it would be the opposite of what they're talking about.
Right. And I was talking to a friend the other day, I think it was a couple days after this happened, and I was just saying, you know, amongst our peer group, do you hear of anybody getting HIV?
No.
And so I really do think that PrEP has, like, for our age group, has essentially eradicated it.
Yeah.
And for most people I know that get it for free. So, I mean,
PrEP,
through their either their health insurance, or if they don't have it. I mean, like, there are plenty of avenues to get it if you really insist on doing that. And again, it's like, guys, like, this is not an excuse to not wear a condom. Like, that is the like, and I talked about that in my that video that I made, the concentrate video. It's like, this is not, like, it's a great thing that it got invented. Take it. Like, even if you are wearing condoms, just fucking take it. Like, if you're like going out to the fucking Abbey and just getting pounded by the person you see there, like, fucking be on it. Just because you don't, like,
a condom can break. You can also meet a sociopath. I mean, and especially with the narcissists in West Hollywood. Let me tell you, some of them are sociopaths.
Let me tell you, folks. Yeah. So yeah, that was another fucking stupid take. And then
really
this
dumb.
one is one of my favorite ones that happened. And this is just like one of these things and this is like where I think trans activists just fail so badly, in the sense of, like, are you helping your cause with this?
Right.
And so I want to preface. Well, I'll let it go ahead and go.
I didn't even realize there was a second instance of this happening.
Yeah, this is the one I chose out of. I have the other one too. So because that one is just so absurd, but this one's pretty absurd too. So I'll let this one go ahead and go.
I don't want to take this away from you, but let me tell you something. Black trans women are being killed in this country, and CNN, you have erased black trans
Look at her bump.
women
Do you see her bump
for
the
the
little
last
kid?
time.
Right. The
Black
trans kid.
Women for the last time. Let me tell you something. Black trans women are dying. Our lives matter. I am an extraordinary black trans woman, and I deserve to be here. My black trans sisters that are here.
Find your light.
I know.
I'm just sitting there, and it's not just my black trans women. It's my black trans brothers too. And I'm gonna say what I.
Okay, so there's something. Okay, so really quickly, the thing
if people are just listening, we should probably explain what
do you mind doing that?
So a mother and her trans male child,
I assume, is what's going on with that.
who is probably like 9 years old.
Right.
Where they were standing there, they were asking a question, and then this lady comes up and grabs the microphone, bumps into the kid, and starts on this rant here.
And so we talked about this in another podcast, but I think it was the one where we were talking about. I think it was when we got Jordan Klepper's show canceled.
Oh yes, we single-handedly did that.
Single-handedly, yes. But it was I was talking about how they keep talking about, like, these, like, you see this list of these black trans names and whatever, but they keep talking about it as if they're murdered because they're trans. But in all of that whole list of black trans names everyone posts on their Instagram to feel woke or whatever, the cause of why they were killed is not known. So we don't really know if it was because they were trans and black. Right. It's mostly like, it's like, because I think that, like, gay people and trans people, and a lot of them were prostitutes as well, will engage in, like, fucking risky behavior. And then again, it's just like her focus on, it's this broad focus of, like, black trans women are being killed in mass. And it's like, well, no, let's talk about maybe the circumstances of each one of these people, and but again, then that's insensitive. We can't have any honest discussion about, like, why this may be happening. And honestly, that would work for the betterment of all of us. All of us. With, like, an increased discussion of sex wellness and like prostitution, or sex work rather. Right. Well, a lot of things would change about the murders that happen behind closed doors. And I think that sex work should be legal. And I think a big part of, and this is me, I'm gonna probably get canceled for saying this, but I think, like, a big part of probably what this is the woman who's upset right now is extremely passing. And so, but if there is that thing you can't say, which is the black community is still not cool with this. Oh. And then if you trapped somebody and then surprise, you're going to get fucking killed. I mean, that is, like, what's going to happen. I'm sure that's what happened to a lot of these people on that list. And so, again, but that is verboten to have that conversation, because I think that we have a little bit of armor to be able to say it. But again, I know that someone will get really pissed about me saying that. But again, it's like just like a semblance of honesty because I want to solve the problem.
It's the same thing as HIV disclosure.
Right.
Any kind of disclosure. I'm not comparing the two, but like being honest and having, again, the culture of consent that we have, you should be telling people if you are trans, if you're getting into a sexual situation with them, or if you're a sex worker, like be upfront with what you offer.
Yes, I know. And the reality too is like I mean, friends of mine that still use Grindr tell me that like people want trans people a lot on there. So like there is a market for you, but you have to understand that like this is another really fucked up thing to say, but it's kind of true of like it's a very specific type of person that wants that. Like you and I are not going to be like strictly attracted to that. It's like there are people who particularly want that hardware.
Yeah.
And so and that's great. And you'll find that person, but again, it's like if you take these fucking risks on people that you can freak out who like think could have that, you know, crazy homophobia thing, or you maybe, I don't know, you trigger something in them that causes something to happen. But like, let's let this minute, because again, it's like how this is handled is just so poor and so fickle. And again, like Don Lemon, it's so disappointing because he is gay, so he does have the opportunity to like really speak to this, and he does what Don Lemon does.
I'm gonna say.
No, you come here. No, I just want to ask you something. Come here. Tell me. Come here. I want you to talk. What's your name?
I'm Blossom C. Brown.
Blossom, let me ask you.
Google me.
Blossom.
Please Google me.
Blossom, thank you. Let me tell you something. Let me. No, don't come on the stage. Don't come on the stage. And may I have the mic?
Okay.
May I have the mic? Blossom, let me tell you something. The reason that we're here is to validate people like you. That is why we're giving. But that is why we're here. Okay. But
So that's the moment where you go, if you keep speaking like this, no one's going to listen to your message. Do you understand? You are being a child. Yeah. Like, so this is the moment where Don Lemon got to be an adult, and he chose not to be because he's scared of getting in trouble. So it's just, it's one of those things of like, as gay people, we have to stop doing this. We have to stop it. It's like, just, like, this is our community, man. We get to say, listen, Blossom, I understand you're at a fucking 12 right now, but you got to bring that down to like a 6.
We're having a CNN town hall here. This is
these are adults in this room.
Yeah.
We're all on your side. What you're doing right now, this performance, is making you look like a child, and the world watching you right now doesn't respect this opinion at all. Like, you have a valid concern, but you're making it invalid. Yeah. So fucking relax, Blossom.
It's almost like intention and poise are very important when we have these discussions.
Right. But it again, and I have to tell you, it's like the ones that always act like this are these trans activists every single time. And it's kind of interesting. This is kind of an aside, and then we'll get back to this. There we go. Sorry. So I don't. We watched both parts of. Do we just watch the first part of Dave Chappelle's special?
What do you mean?
Because after the credits, another thing plays. Did we not watch that? I don't think we had time to.
No.
There's another thing that plays like an epilogue almost, where he does like a kind of more loose stand-up afterwards. Oh. And he mentions a trans woman named Daphne that he befriended, and he says her name and everything in it, and like kind of how she changes perspective on stuff. And a lot of it's about the discussion they had, and it was funny, like the way that, you know, him trying to understand it and her trying to be reasonable. And you could find her on Twitter, and she had that like, yes, I'm that Daphne in the Dave Chappelle special. And then like he actually helped her. I think he was working on helping her produce a stand-up special, and unfortunately she killed herself. Jeez. But everyone's making it about, because of Dave Chappelle's jokes, she killed herself. And it's,
what?
Right, of course. But we all know it's like, and this is the conversation I've been having with a lot of people, and this is again, no words you can't say, but we can, or I feel like gay people need to start saying, is like gender dysphoria is real, but you may have other things going on that getting the surgery and being passing isn't going to fix. So like, I think a lot of times what happens is, and again, the suicide rate amongst trans people is really fucking high, and they want to say it's because of how much they get discriminated against. I think it's because there's more underlying mental illness aside from the gender dysphoria that gets unaddressed, and they think that they get all this shit done, and they're like, fuck, I'm still miserable. And then they think like, and then they start to project it onto outward things of how they're treated, and it's not like trying to address what could really be going on top of the other thing. And I suspect that I'm not going to put that motive onto this person, but again, because it would be doing the same thing that people saying that Dave Chappelle killed her. You know what I mean?
Sure.
With his jokes, but
I think it would be reasonable to say that really anything under the LGBT umbrella, you'd see a higher rate of any kind of mental illness or disorder.
It's statistically true.
So this isn't just to say it's trans people who feel this way. It's just that we as gay people have like a different way of achieving like true happiness. It's a lot easier to fall in love with a man than it is to get all of your parts reassigned.
Exactly. And I think that like the journey is so long for that to happen. Yeah. And again, like that's what I was talking about, why I think non-binary is bullshit, because the stakes on transitioning is so high. It's so high. Yeah. And it's so expensive. So like people who go through it, I'm like, that shit is real. Yeah. Like you definitely, that is real, that you needed to do that. And like, and I have nothing but respect for that journey, as long as you're respectful and you want to have a conversation, not act like Blossom. But it's like the kind of thing of like, I think the problem is that so much like mental illness is progressive. Like the things that I have gotten more intense as I've gotten older. And again, it's like, so you go through that journey thinking that like once I hit this end goal, and I think this kind of ties into body dysmorphia too, where it's never going to be quite enough. Right. You know what I mean? And so, but anyway, like that's kind of an aside, but let's go ahead and finish this one up and then we'll move on to the next thing.
It was an important aside.
I think so too. Because again, I think that this is, now I'm knowing what the theme of this is going to be, is things that gay people should be saying to other gay people in the community that doesn't just let this unchecked madness go on TV and mainstream really bad ideas like this town hall did.
Yeah. Hang on, we can't hear you. Blossom, we can't hear you. Here, Blossom, we can't hear you.
Don Lemon's giving the microphone back.
Have to speak louder than words, because guess what? Not one black trans woman has taken the mic tonight. Not one black trans man has taken the mic tonight. Yeah. Show me.
Blossom.
Show me.
Blossom. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Blossom, you're a black trans woman. You have the mic in your hand. I've taken it and given it back to you. We want to hear from you. We have had trans people of color. We've had all people here, and you're welcome. But we are proud and happy that you're here. We're proud and happy that you're here.
Stop letting her speak.
Remember,
what a tragedy.
All right, thank you, Blossom, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's how anti-blackness works.
Don Lemon is black.
That's what anti-blackness looks like. The erasure of black trans people.
All right.
I'm here. We're here in this room. Please give us that opportunity.
Blossom, thank you so much.
Okay. So again, like, just totally negate. Like again, and it's one of those things of like, you guys want the people who aren't already on our side to be convinced to be with us. This is not helping.
Yeah, help them take us seriously.
To use her tactics, this is not helping. It's like I don't. Like, this also does not help. No one listens to this.
Yeah, how disrespectful too. It's just like, I don't know. Just have some consideration for your own actions. You're on live TV.
So
it's not helping you.
Okay.
Oh God, here we go, Kamala.
And so I think it's kind of good. We're getting a little Kamala. So this is a little palate cleanser for us.
Yeah, it's this one. This is a tweet by Shu, and it says painfully awkward.
And this speaks
for itself.
So the best part about this is that we just know that Kamala's team told her to do this.
Yep.
And I also find it really irritating and transparent when somebody who has always been female, there's never been any question, decides to do their pronouns, because what is the fucking point? Like, again, I think the pronoun thing is all horseshit. I think everybody in our community, everybody at this town hall, if we see somebody doing their best to pass as whatever gender, we're going to address them as he, she, or whatever. But so this is just obviously Kamala going for some sort of woke thing, and then Chris Cuomo surprisingly making a funny joke for the first time in his career.
Yeah, I know, right?
And thank you guys. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her.
And she does the little nod.
Mine too.
Yep.
Mine too, Chris Cuomo says. So Chris Cuomo actually, and again, I think it was that little slip where
Mine too.
All right.
So I think Chris Cuomo had that moment where he realized how fucking ludicrous this all is, and her doing that, and how ridiculous that was, and so he's like, oh, you know what?
Slip.
Mine too.
And then he made a stupid,
and then he decided
dumb...
to just completely grovel.
He said,
"Can you read it in his tone that you know he's going for right here?"
Please read.
No. I think it's please read.
Please read. When Senator Harris said her pronouns were she, her, and hers, I said mine too. I should not have. I apologize. I am an ally of the LGBTQ community, and I am sorry because I am committed to helping us achieve equality. Thank you for watching our town hall. It's like, what a loser! You
Please,
should have just.
please don't take
it.
my children away. Yeah, again, it's one of those
Please
things.
don't
Like,
take my children
like
away.
even if you were to say, I was making a joke, and again, like he's in a shitty position because he's a straight white guy or whatever. But if it were like me who had done that, I'd be like, oh, so no sense of humor about a obvious person trying to flex on us. Like,
Right.
like, excuse me, Kamala, seriously, you're not out of here.
Yeah.
Enough with you.
It's
Like,
very transparent
it's
of you.
completely transparent.
Oh.
So we got Cuomo groveling on that.
What a nightmare.
And then
whole thing.
this is
This was my. I'm so glad you pulled up this clip.
So in case anyone doesn't know, so Elizabeth Warren is the darling of every media fucking thing ever right now. And little does anyone know that she was a Republican until she was 47 years old.
Yep.
And she voted for Gerald
Trump,
Ford.
if you believe it or not, she voted for Trump.
Yes, yeah. Dude, wasn't that fucking like another aside? Do you know is that what you're talking about? So she has this campaign thing that she's been putting around, and I think like some of your friends liked it, unfortunately, on Twitter, and
The thread.
It's tough following your friends because they just want to do the right thing, but they're not very informed, so they say something or they like something sometimes. And mine too, my friends too. So
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, it's mine too.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not calling him up by name, but it's the kind of thing of so her Elizabeth Warren's big thing was to make a misleading ad saying that what was it? What did it say?
That Zuckerberg has just endorsed Trump.
Endorsed Trump, and it was to make sure that their fact-checking system is working great. And again, so it's like, so you're endorsing Facebook now, so Elizabeth Warren, the person who was talking shit on our corporate overlords, which actually made her cool for a second.
No, I thought she was doing the opposite by exposing Facebook's bad fact checking.
No, because the ad got flagged. So she said, "Great work, Facebook. You guys are really doing a good job." And so it was like a giant endorsement of them. So like her whole thing was like, for a moment where she was starting to look kind of cool, was going full Tulsi on tech.
Right.
And she totally bungled it with that moment. And so, of course, because I don't even think she knows who she is. And again, like the funniest thing, so I was doing a lot of research about her Republican thing earlier today, and everyone's like, yeah, she just wasn't really politically active until she was 47. And then when she became a Democrat is when she really came online. I'm like, you didn't care about politics till you were 47? Like, not even up to like deciding on who to pull the lever for. It's just
right. You've been tortured and consumed by this since you were 13. So like,
but again, I mean, like
catch up, Liz.
But again, you're also not. Even if you're not somebody who's like as engaged as I am, but you're also not running for fucking president.
Right.
So it's like to have lived more than half of your life up until this point, not giving a fuck about politics, but you're somebody who's firmly rooted in some kind of values, compared to Bernie Sanders, who's literally been for gay people since 1920. It's just like, it's one of those things of like how dare you kind of, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like she's just like her whole thing is just so flimsy. So I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's legitimately like an okay person. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would vote for her, but I don't really have like a personal issue with her. But I just don't think that. I think she's just literally playing this all by ear, and this is a pretty good example of it.
Yeah.
Republican by party for many years. Yep. Was there ever a time that you felt differently about this issue in particular, about same-sex marriage?
No, I don't think so. I actually don't remember. I mean, it may have been the case. I don't know. I don't have notes from when I was a little kid.
I saw a fucking.
So you know what that is, right? Like she probably knows she said something.
Yeah, at some point.
And then she's like, "Well, I'm gonna cover my. I don't know. Yeah, I might have."
In that way, she can claim that she's not lying.
Yeah.
That she's. Oh, I just didn't remember.
Yeah, I don't.
But she absolutely knows that at some point she was homophobic in some way. And I mean, like, even the reply after this, she was Republican into her 40s. She stumped for Reagan and Bush. I'm all for supporting a change of heart, but this doesn't sound like an honest answer. Maybe it's or maybe it is, maybe it's posturing. With Sanders, there's no maybe it's posturing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that. I mean, it's such a weird and again, it's like and you can
I don't remember.
You can tell how nervous she is. It like proves that she knows she said something that's probably on record somewhere. I mean, between this powwow chow thing and how many times. Like all this Native American stuff, and then now her. Did you hear about the latest lie that she had?
No, what was that?
Oh my God! So she's been on the campaign trail. She's had the same speech, and Tucker played it over and over and over again, where she keeps going that And then I was working a job as a school teacher, and then the second I was visibly pregnant, I went to the principal, and he said, well, I guess it's time to go. She's in the same story on the campaign trail. So it's like this thing about sexism over and over and over and over again. Then they pulled an interview from her in 2006 where she said that I was working a job. I didn't have a full teaching credential, so I was kind of like a half, it's called there's a name for that type of teacher where it's like an emergency kind of ticket because they need someone to fill the position. And she goes, and then I got pregnant and I just kind of lost interest in the job and I felt like just being a mother for a while. And so she's just been lying about this sexist narrative. No. So I think that she's got a kind of a compulsion to just lie, and I think that she just doesn't really have that much of a firm foundation to stand on.
Yeah.
So that's Liz. And this one is the one that disturbed me the most.
More Liz. This is Elizabeth. The quote on the tweet is, Elizabeth Warren with an excellent takedown of Betsy DeVos at last night's LGBT town hall for Democratic candidates.
So I want you, if you guys are watching this, there's two things I want you to pay attention to. It's, okay, so one of my biggest moral quandaries with this is that, so this kid is supposed to be trans, and he's 9. What ethical doctor would call or give that diagnosis to a child without secondary sex characteristics? Mm-hmm. Is that ethical at all? So, and then the point of me saying that is that I don't think there is one that did that. And look how thrilled the mother is with this.
My name is Jacob, and I'm a 9-year-old transgender American. My question is... All right, Jacob.
And that warrants the applause.
Yeah.
It
just goes to show we have created there's a problem here, a serious problem.
Hold on.
And look at the mother.
What will you do in your first week as president to make sure that kids like me feel safer in schools? And what do you think schools need to do better to make sure that I don't have to worry about anything but my homework?
Oh, I like that question, Jacob. We're going to do this. So let me start by saying I want to have a Secretary of Education who both believes in public education and believes in the value of every one of our kids and is willing to enforce our civil rights laws.
So again, this has nothing to do with this being a transgender 9-year-old. Right. And the thing is like this mother here is what gives me the fucking creeps. Because I think that this trans kid thing is the new Munchausen by proxy for these like single mothers who like need attention really badly, and this is the way to get it. It's like you don't have to poison your kid anymore, thank God, but now you can maybe give them hormones to stop their puberty or whatever. And again, it's like if there is any doctor that would say that a child has gender dysphoria before secondary sex characteristics are present, it's completely unethical and should be barred from practicing. I think that is a firm stance that we should take, because I don't there is so much child development that happens before puberty. Like, and again, like why, like gender is of really no consequence up until puberty. It's really the only time it's supposed to matter.
Yeah.
And so, and again, we've all lived up until the point of puberty. Women, you and I, all of us have gotten to that point. We never really, it was girls and boys, and there wasn't really much else to it. Mm-hmm. And again, I think this is like a weird take that I actually agree with, which is that I think it's like inherently homophobic, because you find some kind of feminine boy and it's like, well, we got a problem here. Right. This is a transgender thing. And none of the feminine boys that I went to elementary school with turned out to be trans.
Right.
So
it is instilling, I'm not trying to invalidate the trans experience, but it is parents instilling seeds into their, it probably is parents instilling seeds into their kids.
It's like the
brains.
Yeah.
But like I put on my mom's heels once when I was like 7 or 8. My mom didn't tell me, maybe you're a girl.
Right.
What did she say? She didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't find out. But
I think we all do that shit.
Yeah. And so even straight men have done that. I've listened to podcasts and they talk about it all the time, but especially like entertainers, comedians, they always like, yeah, I just put on a costume.
Right.
It's not like I'm putting on heels to feel like a woman.
Right.
I'm putting on heels to feel like a different character. But had somebody like told me or convinced me that I put on those heels because I wanted to be a woman and I was that young, I probably would have believed them, been like, maybe I do want to be a woman.
Right.
And I would be trans. But I think there is a lot of influence, especially, and a lot of influence that's sort of encouraged influence on kids these days to make a decision as soon as 9 years old.
Well, and this, you don't get to make these decisions at this age.
No.
This is bad parenting. Very, very bad. It's like, again, like if your kid wants to fucking dress let them do whatever they want to do. But you don't start giving them a label like trans. You don't start doing that. Also, a fucking 9-year-old shouldn't have access to the internet to even know what trans is.
Yeah.
It's again, so, and this kid doesn't really, seems like a pretty normal kid. Like, you know, I don't, again, if I assume this was a girl, I mean, you know what, fuck it, this is a girl. Like, I'm not willing to call this a boy yet. Like, I'm not, because again, it's like, I'm not, the secondary sex characteristics is when the distress sets in of like, this is fucking real. You know what I mean? And so this isn't real yet. This is just a little girl who wants to be a boy. And like tomboys have existed and whatever else. And this could very well just turn out to be a lesbian. So again, it's like this kind of erasure of even like our existence by fucking with children in this way. It's like, again, it's like if he was or she, I don't know what's going on here. So like 12, 13, 14, I'm willing to listen. Right.
Yeah.
And I want to listen because like those are the stories I actually I'm interested in, of like finding an articulate 14-year-old that can like articulate these things, like even like the Greta Thunberg of trans. Like like I would love to hear that person's take on this.
Yeah.
But I should be in school. But this is not meant for TV. Like this is not someone you put on TV. This is like and again, it's like to the people who already think we're crazy, this isn't helping at all. I mean, is that off base?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of flinched when I said that this is a little girl. I mean, is that?
Well, I mean, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter at this point. Like, I agree with you in that, like, at the onset of that transition into puberty, it's like, that's a very important developmental part of your life. And you sort of start to figure things out. At 13, I figured out I was gay. If I hadn't, I mean, like, nobody was telling me I was gay at 9 years old. I just sort of became that.
Right.
And I had to figure it out at that point in my life. And I feel like that's generally when people figure that out.
Right.
Same with gender dysphoria or any kind of like sex dysphoria and gender dysphoria. That's sort of a puberty thing.
Yeah.
You don't really start to feel sexual in any way or have any connection to your sexual organs,
or even really like how your body looks is of no consequence before puberty. I mean that like you, because again, you're not trying to attract anything. Mm-hmm. Like it like really. I did you ever think about your body before puberty?
No. So at like 12 or 13, I had friends who like started to grow armpit hair, and I was like, fuck, I want that.
Right.
That was the only instance I ever felt any kind of awareness of my body. I was like, oh, I kind of want to have that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up having it like 2 months later.
Right.
But yeah, I did not feel that at all before.
So,
it's not something you think about. There are other things to focus on, like getting an education in elementary school.
Right. And I just, yeah, again, it's like the level of enthusiasm the mother has about this just goes to show
it's disturbing.
that it's absolutely disturbing. It's Munchausen by proxy, and it's a thing of, and if you guys don't know what that is, it's where the parents will intentionally harm or poison their children in order to like get sympathy from the community. And I think that that's kind of what's happening. And this is just a new version of it that is of lower impact, I guess. But it makes us, like, since we all have to take care of this giant alphabet now, like, I am angry that they're doing this.
Yeah.
Because like it's getting to that point where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to be the G over here. I'm sort of done with all this because, and here's another perfect example of it.
Yeah, I saw this one too.
Yeah.
Julian is so...
Julian.
I don't know.
And next, Secretary Castro, I want to bring in Shay Diamond, a singer-songwriter from Los Angeles. She currently supports Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Shay, what's your question?
It's Shea Diamond.
Shea Diamond.
Put that on the record.
Okay. It's on the record. Thank you.
Yes, honey. It's violence to misgender or to alter a name of a trans person. So let's always get that right first.
Okay. I want you to, I know you couldn't watch that, but I want you to watch Julian Castro's face when she says that. Watch his face really closely.
Get that right first.
Did you see that look right at the end there?
No, play it again.
Watch his face at the very end of the clip.
And so let's always get that right first.
It's just like
he has to placate this if he wants to be a viable candidate.
And but you don't. I really
no. He feels like he has to. I mean,
and that's really the thing is I think that America wants a Democrat to like not like or Democrats want a Democrat to not go full Trump, but just be a fucking adult here and just be like, actually no. Like, people mispronounce my name all the time. It's fucking... people say Julian, but it's Julian. People
spell my name wrong.
I don't think it's racism if they say Julian. Like, relax, okay? And so... And, like, Shay and Shaya, honestly, that's that big of a fucking deal. Like, just stop it with this clown car. It is... I don't know. I mean, I think the reason why this disturbed me so much was because... I really could go most of my life and just be like, I'm finding these examples. They're not mainstream. They're fringe. They're just some fucking lunatic on Twitter, blah, 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 blah. And then I could kind of like still go to bed at night without having nightmares. But now seeing this event and then like the voices they allowed to speak and what they had to say, I'm like, oh, these ideas are mainstream now. This is now mainstream. This insanity is mainstream.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
I don't fucking know, dude. I have no solution for you. Really, what we need is Tulsi to swoop in, and I'm sad she wasn't there for this town hall. But honestly,
I think that everybody that is sane, like Marianne didn't fucking go. She didn't, like Tulsi didn't go.
Were they invited?
Probably not, but I mean they should have been. I guess. I mean, like, well, if Julian Castro was,
Bernie wasn't there.
Well, he was, I think, because of his heart. But again, like what I think that. I think I'm almost grateful that he wasn't because he's been in kind of full pander mode on so many things that I'm kind of glad that he wasn't given the opportunity to embarrass himself on this. And I think that all of them are running so scared of, and I got in kind of like a heated argument or like a discussion rather with like a friend of mine about this and how like this is, who are these people that are making like Chris Cuomo apologize? Like, and I'm like, it's the gay lobby. Like they're so fucking powerful, and he just couldn't he couldn't accept the fact that this group is so impossibly powerful and that they can literally make anybody bend to their will now.
Well, the gays own basically entertainment, the arts.
Yep.
And that's a massive industry, especially when CNN is just entertainment. And so is Fox. It's like. It's very dominated by certain voices.
And two of the richest men on earth, Peter Thiel and Tim Cook, are gay. Mm-hmm. So it's just, but like, fortunately, they don't. I mean, Peter Thiel is a Republican, and Tim Cook is not. He didn't even want to be. He got outed. He's like, I didn't even want to talk about this. But you know, and same with Peter Thiel too. He was like, that's why Gawker doesn't exist anymore because they added him.
Right.
So. But I wish people like that were just the adults in the room on this, because like I had someone on my message board ask me the question of like who's a gay public figure that you look up to, and I didn't have a fucking answer.
What about the ambassador dude?
Richard Grinnell?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, but because he's got the Trump stank on him, like any of the good work he's doing gets just overshadowed by that. Like I mean, somebody like who would. Like, because like again, Peter, like Douglas Murray's been on a tour for this book he put out called The Madness of Crowds, and I'm gonna read it because it's so interesting, and like so much of what we were just talking about is because he's a gay man too, and so much of what he's been talking about is his opinions are where we share. I mean, I've been following him for years, ever since Sam Harris first interviewed him, and in fact, I didn't know he was gay until the second interview Sam Harris did with him, and Sam brought it up because he literally doesn't talk about it, but now he's having to because of in the context of this.
I think you could think of a couple people that you look up to. It's just the people that don't address it. You sort of have to look in the dark crevices of.
But I think that I want like someone to speak like Douglas Murray, who's.
But about gay stuff.
Well, and he does
from a reasonable perspective.
and he does, but he's not like. I want an upper echelon person to start doing it, like where he's basically like a political pundit. You know what I mean? In a way. So I want somebody who is of like massive import, who's gay, to start speaking like this, and I don't know why they're so scared to do it. I guess it's that thing of like this fear that you're going to lose your gay friends. But what's so crazy to me is like, I mean, even when I was at some event with like some really kind of powerful, rich gay people recently, and was not going this hard, but was very kind of like, like this issue, I'm taking serious issue with all, and they were all like, yes, we agree. And and so there is a consensus right now, but I think there is some sort of social backlash that people are scared of getting, and I don't really mind putting out a recorded record because I don't really care anymore. Because again, it's like if you are thinking that I'm being insensitive based on what I'm saying now and not just logical, then I don't really know what I can do for you. It's one of those things of like, I have fought for the rights of all these things my whole life. It's been like literally like that has been the one thing that has been important to me as a gay person until I felt like the war was over. And then it's now these kind of weird new grievances that don't really have any basis in any kind of reality or any. And so you're like, I'm sort of like, I don't know what battle you guys are fighting anymore other than just the battle for gay relevance or something. By creating grievance. That seems to be the only way that they're managing to do it. And so, again, I think that we could create a new gay counterculture movement by speaking this way.
Yeah.
But so seldom do they.
Whew. Yeah.
Did I wear you out?
Maybe a little bit. I've had a long day and haven't really thought about anything gay at all today. I've just been sort of very straight-minded.
Yes, it's been a very, even though you were sewing all day.
The thing is I'm sewing corsets, so I'm thinking about massive, huge, jiggly titties. So yeah, I was hand sewing corsets. I was doing women's trousers, a skirt. So like, or several skirts actually. So yeah, I'm just thinking about women today. Thinking about hot, sexy women.
Hot.
So I'm not. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up. But I do follow.
No.
I
already knew that like there was going to be no point of contention on this. I mean, we feel pretty much the same way about it. I'm just a little bit. It's been like a little bit longer of like. I think that when I started to notice this trend, you would like was like 2012 or 13, and I was like already like this is like long before I even knew the Trump phenomenon would make things go into hyperdrive. But yeah, I was like already like, wait, what? It was the second gay marriage became legal, and then it was like these new grievances started to kind of roll out where I'm like, I just couldn't follow the narrative anymore. Yeah. But yeah, that's about all I got on it.
Me too.
Yeah, actually,
it's exhausting.
I was surprised we made it to almost an hour, but
yeah.
Anyway, we love you all.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, you guys.
I don't know, fight the good fight with us, and
see you Wednesday at 7.
Yeah, well,
Wednesdays at 7.
Will next Wednesday be able to do another live?
Yes, I sure will.
That's right, you will. So next one will be live. This one couldn't be, and we will see you at another.
When we see you.
When we see you.
Come on,
on a
Jordan, come on.
At 7 o'clock.
Bye.